Recorded Books Inspirational presents an unabridged recording of Chronicles of the Kings, Book 5, Among the Gods, by Lynn Austin, narrated by Suzanne Torin. This book is copyrighted 2006 by Lynn Austin. This recording is copyrighted 2007 by Recorded Books, producer and publisher of Recorded Books Inspirational, an imprint dedicated to stories of faith and the human spirit. We open this book with the following note by the author. In 1961, archaeologists uncovered the ruins of a temple on the island of Elephantine in Egypt. Aligned to face Jerusalem, it was identical in size and construction to the Jerusalem temple, and had been built by Jewish priests and Levites fleeing the persecution of King Manasseh's reign. Records unearthed with it revealed that a full schedule of sacrifices and feast days had been celebrated there. Since no other temple was ever built by exiled priests, some scholars have concluded that the Ark of the Covenant might have been rescued during the time of Manasseh and housed in Egypt as well. My novel, Among the Gods, is based on this premise. And now, Among the Gods.
Prologue. "I hate waiting," Joshua mumbled under his breath. "There's nothing worse than waiting." He would give anything to get this meeting over with and learn what his future was going to be. But as the morning slowly crawled toward afternoon, he feared he wasn't going to get his wish. He glanced at the tall, dark-skinned sentries standing guard at the door to Pharaoh's throne room, then turned his attention back to the multicolored murals decorating the walls of the anteroom. They depicted scenes of the Pharaoh's many conquests and the glories of Egypt's ancient past. Memories of Joshua's own past and of the loved ones he had lost were too painful to dwell on for very long, and he stared at the forbidden Egyptian images to push those memories from his thoughts. Violence and bloodshed marred his present life as a fugitive, and he was eager to leave that life behind him. He bore the scars of it on his face, the pain and guilt of it in his heart. He was no longer certain what God wanted of him or what the future would bring. Perhaps before the day ended, he would find out. Prince Amariah fidgeted beside him as they waited, looking worried. "I wish they would hurry up and summon us," he said. "I hate being surrounded by all these images and idols. How can you even look at them?" Joshua glanced at Amariah, then at the delegation of chief priests and Levites who had accompanied them to Pharaoh's palace. With no place to rest their eyes without sinning, they stared at the floor, silent and nervous. "If Pharaoh allows us to stay in Egypt, we'll be living among these gods all the time," Joshua told the prince. "You'd better get used to them." Joshua understood the shock the Judean exiles were experiencing. In the month since he and more than 300 priests and Levites and their families had made their daring escape from Jerusalem at Passover, their euphoria had slowly ebbed away as they began to comprehend all that they had lost. For many of the priests, the physical separation from the Promised Land had been as painful and traumatic as severing a limb. Abandoning Solomon's temple on God's holy mountain left them stunned with grief. For centuries, God's deliverance from Egyptian slavery at Passover had defined who they were as a people. Yet now, God had apparently reversed his redemption plan and returned them all to Egypt. Joshua couldn't promise them that the sojourn would be temporary. At last, the massive door swung open, and a chamberlain beckoned to them. "Pharaoh will see you now." Joshua touched the leather eye patch he wore, making certain it was still in place over his sightless right eye. Then he and the delegation followed Prince Amariah into the throne room. Dust motes danced in thin beams of sunlight as Pharaoh's slaves fanned the air with palm branches. The palace wore a faded look of aging glory, the paint dingy gray, the plaster flaking in spots, the air musty with the scent of damp stone. Joshua stifled a cough as he bowed low before Pharaoh Taharko, the third Nubian king to reign as Pharaoh of Upper and Lower Egypt. Taharko had the flawless ebony skin, broad nose, and full lips of his Cushite ancestors, but his impassive features revealed nothing of his response to the Judeans' request for sanctuary in Egypt. When Joshua first presented their petition a week ago, he had told Pharaoh that he and Amariah were former officials in King Manasseh's government. He hadn't disclosed the fact that Amariah was a royal prince of the house of David. "Pharaoh has considered your request for political asylum," Taharko's spokesman began. The sheet of papyrus crackled like dry twigs as he carefully unrolled it. Clean-shaven, bare-chested, and dressed in a white linen kilt, he and the other Egyptians standing on the dais beside Pharaoh gazed down at the Judeans' bearded faces.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.